the budget realities is that there's fiscally just not enough money to be able to overlap the two programs. I mean, we see it every day. We face our own realities about the budget crisis and how we have to tighten our belts. And fiscally, as a country, we have to do the same thing and make the hard choices, which is that we cannot overlap because we cannot spend that money because we have to finance many, many other things that are not discretionary. But to the extent that some of these discretionary items to spend, and we have invested in that. But remembering that focusing on our future is what our children need us to do, and NASA does stand for doing that.
So you've got a guy right now at NASA working on his desk drawing up the new model, spaceship model, like he used to do when he was in 6th grade, is now drawing up that new model, the new, Porsche of
I hope
the
he's not
shuttle.
using a pen and ink, he's left-handed either.
Yeah, it's true. He'll smear it. I have one last question for you, and then we're going to open it up, because then everybody's like, she goes on, but I just love talking to you so much. Social media. We talk a lot, and this is fascinating, especially for those who, we talk about the government and social media and integrating. It's here. We can't escape it. We're using it in our everyday lives. But the government is always conflicted with this, and I think we shared some really great conversations about that. You want to share a little bit of what your insight is on that?
So just in general, the government tends to be risk averse. And we are criticized as government employees, well, innovative and bureaucracy and everything kind of stuff. Actually, I would say that as citizens, we enjoy bureaucracy and we want it to be there. Bureaucracy keeps us safe, alive. It keeps our food safe, our roads safe, the highways safe, the airspace safe. Bureaucracy does all that. But overused bureaucracy can inhibit some thinking that's more out of the box. So I think that today's out of the box bureaucrats need to not wrestle with bureaucracy and fight it, but to judo with bureaucracy and use the strength of it to create the amazing things that innovation can do. And so one of the things that I did at Goddard, I noticed this whole Web 2.0 thing, and I had a friend. I still have a friend. He's still there, and we would meet about once a year at a conference. And he was a CTO in his company, and we'd kind of share what are you working on, this, that, and the other. And I actually met him 10 years ago at a dark, lonely night at a bus stop. We were at a technology conference, and I was on the way to the hotel, and he was going to the same one. I was the only one at the bus stop because it was late. And then he asked me a question. I'm like, he's talking to me. I'm not networking, right? And so
Might have to know your name.
I know. So he said something to me, and I got kind of smart. It's like, buzz off, buddy. Don't ask me anything. So then he started doing warm chatter, and some kind of way I found out that he knew IBM assembler and he knew hexadecimal.
You just never know where you're going to meet
whoa.
somebody who knows Fortran and IBM assembler. And a bus stop seems like the right place in Florida. I mean, really, yeah.
So we would share notes on technology, but kind of to zoom to this. One of those encounters at this conference we went to annually, he told me about what he was doing in Web 2.0. He was in Second Life, and he was doing blogs. So Second Life is a virtual world that is kind of like where you can go in, you simulate things.
You become an avatar. So
Right.
you like make yourself like that other person you want to be, so, whatever that is for you.
So he said that I had to blog. So blog, just writing on the web. So you have to do it. I said, okay, I'll do it. He says, no. Promise me, you have to do it. So I said, okay, I'll do it. So because I promised, then I started checking it out. I said, okay, I'm going to write this and do that and learn. So I decided I created this, I guess I closed the gap. I was going to go on this learning adventure about Web 2.0. I was going to do a little bit of blog, a little bit of Second Life, a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of Facebook, MySpace at the time, and that kind of stuff. And so then as I started doing the blog, I said, I have a purpose for the blog. So my purpose was going to use it as a leadership tool to kind of augment what I was trying to do in organizational change in my home organization, and I wanted to help get this introvert come out of me in a very technical way. So I had decided what I was going to say, and it just became something I just loved doing. I loved writing about technology, talking about leadership, and just communicating stuff. To the extent that I eventually decided that I was going to go to that next level and work on a book. So I'm just finishing the book now, and the book, it was going to be the collection of my blogs, but I couldn't do that for various reasons. So I ended up creating a book, and creating is probably the better thing. I didn't write it; just kind of created itself. A book that looked at what leaders need to inspire them. Writing the blog inspired me. It inspired me to learn. It inspired me to grow, and it inspired me to reach out to a universe of people that I wouldn't normally see. I met somebody that works in Italy. Met somebody who's in Portugal, Brazil. That's where he's in Brazil, and a hermit that's in a desert, and how these people come into your life through the reach that Web 2.0 and writing does, and helps you make those big shifts in your life and what they bring to you. And so using technology was a way to make me bigger. It made me bigger. It made me not that heads down kind of girl that's looking at a hexadecimal dump. It made me bigger in terms of knowing that there was a world, a universe, a nation, a country. There was everything around me that could help me learn and grow. And so in my writing in this book, it's about leaders and being inspired to learn and grow and doing those very difficult things that require courage and bravery and resilience and all those things.
That's going to be an incredible, do you know the name of it yet?
It's called The Leadership Muse.
That's going to be an incredible, I can't wait to find out more. I know we're running out of time, so I want to give it up and let people have a chance to ask a few questions. I know there are people probably here dying to ask you something, so who wants to be first? Okay, we'll go way back in, we'll go in the back first. So the question is asking you about social media. Do people at NASA, where you're working today, share your views and thoughts on social media today?
I would say that the social media has had an effect on our culture, not unlike what the telephone did. When the telephone was invented and became more mainstream in the early 1900s, a lot of people said, "Well, what do you need with a phone?" I mean, there's this book, The History of the Telephone, that was written in 1910, where people had said, the only thing you're going to do with a phone is to, so what? A man can talk to his girlfriend in China and at Boston at the same time. So what? It's just a toy. It's a scientific toy. It's just it's a gimmick. It has no practical value. And I just thought it was just fascinating, because that's the same thing that people say about social media. What are you going to do with social media? It's just, so you can get to hook up and get a date on Friday, or, so what? I think, if you're going to blog, you're just a narcissistic person studying their own belly button lint or something like that, And so, but I think it just like the phone, that's not just a toy for people to show off with, it became a very critical way of communicating. And I think that Web 2.0 gives us that ability to communicate. But it was a point of inflection for where technology and how people behave actually cross, and that's where people struggle. Just like the telephone changed journalism, because you'd have a report, some news would happen, you write it down, and somebody would take the story the reporter wrote and run to the paper, run it, go to the press, and then boom. Well, now it's the speed of light. Now everybody with a laptop and a blog is a journalist. Everybody with a blog and a laptop and a phone with a camera on it, they're a photojournalist. So the impact of Web 2.0 and the technology on journalism is just amazing. And what we often try to do is control that. Okay, so we're going to control this, and there's no control. There's absolutely no control over what's going to be printed, what's going to be posted, and that kind of stuff. So to an extent, NASA struggles with that a bit, but NASA's not different than any other, than society, how society struggles with it. Where I think NASA leads is having a cadre of innovators, where innovation, doing these new cool things, it's more in our DNA. We may do it more than others, but still the same basic issues as far as how it's used, some of the policy questions that are raised, they still exist, and we haven't necessarily, even as a society, really tackled that one. So
Interesting, interesting.